Um, what made you get into fighting? Let's start it off with that. What made you get into fighting?
Growing up, I just played basketball, football, soccer, baseball, pretty much, till I was 16 years old. Didn't like going to school, so I wasn't really able to play the school sports because you had to get good grades and show up. So my buddy asked if I wanted to go check out a fighting gym. I was 16. I think the first day was like a jiu-jitsu practice, but the next practice was kickboxing, and I really fell in love with kickboxing. Did that for a couple of years. Then when I turned 18, started doing MMA and started fighting MMA. But yeah, it's been good.
Right. Listen, man, I don't have any extensive background when it comes to fighting, but I will tell you this. I did do a little amateur boxing, which is one thing I like to brag about, right? Like did a little amateur boxing. I went to one MMA practice, which I tell Daniel about often. I went to one MMA practice. I got kicked in the leg and I said, this is not for me. So it's definitely something you probably got to get used to. But let me ask you this. What drew you to that sports in particular, as opposed to football or any other sport, basketball?
I didn't have to get good grades to do it.
Right.
School affiliated thing. It was a solo kind of. If I lose, I lose, not the team. So I liked that aspect of it. It was one-on-one. And I didn't. Yeah, I just enjoyed it.
Right. And we've definitely done interviews before in the past with athletes and stuff like that, like football players, basketball players. And the one thing that I've always said was I think fighters, whether it be boxers or MMA fighters, for instance, they are the most intriguing individuals to interview because it's literally up to them. It's literally up to them. They can't say, I didn't lose. I lost because my teammate didn't do his job. No, I lost because of me, or I won because of me. Now, obviously, you have tremendous coaches and stuff like that, but I've always had a different level of respect for fighters. That being said, yeah, absolutely, man. It's the truth, right? We actually had the youngest pro boxer in New Jersey on, and he was pretty much saying that same exact sentiment about how it's the weight of the world is sort of on his shoulders before a fight. So that being said, you were in the Ultimate. You were in the Ultimate Fighter. Describe to us what that experience was like for you.
I was on the Contender Series, so I wasn't in the Ultimate Fighter. The Contender Series was literally just another fight. The weigh-ins, everything was the same. You train in the same gym. So the Contender Series was literally just another fight, really. There was probably 40 people in there, so that was probably the only thing different. There was no walkout music, but it just felt like another fight, just another,
Right. Another day at the office.
Had a lot of fights, so they all feel similar.
Yeah. I'm gonna let these guys get in here and ask questions.
Okay.
Sean, so basically the biggest thing that I learned from you is obviously your confidence, right? Like you go into every fight knowing that you're gonna win. But at what moment, I think we'll play a clip of Eddie, your fight against Eddie right now. One second. Let's play the clip.
Now he does a fan. Oh my goodness, he slept him bad.
That's my favorite part. Hearing DC say in the background, he slept them bad. That's only my favorite part. And we were actually watching that fight, and I'm like, the right hand came out of nowhere. I'm like, what in the world? I can't believe you. Oh my God, man. Sorry, Daniel, I cut you off.
You're good. So at what moment, whether it was the face off or during the fight, do you know I got this?
3 weeks before the fight, when they told me I was fighting Eddie, I had already watched it. I already watched his. I knew I was gonna fight him or a couple other options. And then once they texted me and said you're fighting Eddie, I'm like, perfect. I already know what's gonna happen. I had watched his skill set versus my skill set. I win 10 out of 10 times. So, right when I found out I was fighting him.
Yeah. Nice.
And I know you probably hear this a lot, or UFC fighters in general hear this a lot. And I don't mean to always bring up this guy because it feels like in every MMA interview you hear someone say the notorious Conor McGregor. But honestly, man, your confidence, right? Your confidence in the way you go about it, even when you're in the octagon, you remind me a lot of him. I mean, the way you're able to just, at any point in time, you're able to stop the show. You're able to end the fight.
Yeah.
Did you watch a lot of Connor? Did Connor have any type of influence on you? Did you?
Yeah, I think I've watched a lot of his interviews. I've watched a lot of Chael
Mhm.
Sonnen interviews. I've watched a lot of those interviews that are fun to watch. Like,
Right.
And then Connor's confidence. I feel like I had that confidence, but he kind of brought it to a new level of
Right.
telling people like, I'm gonna knock this dude out in the first round, and actually truly
Right.
believe it, and actually truly think it.
Right.
And so he kind of gave me the, I feel like I probably would have been this way too anyway, because I've always had that confidence going into fights.
Right.
But just being able to, you always get asked what's your prediction of the fight. So, but yeah, hearing him always say, I'm going to knock this dude out in the first round, or whatever he would say is,
it's like he manifested it. It's like he manifested it. It's like he's spoken into existence. It's like he said, I know I'm going to do this, and here's how I'm going to do it. Now watch me do it. And he goes out there and does the exact same thing that he says he's going to do. I mean, he got the nickname Mystic Mac because of it.
Right.
So
yeah, that's just his confidence going. I think he had a similar thought pattern and similar confidence that I have going into fights, that that's what we see. That's how we see the fight playing out.
Right.
So, like, from the interview with Joe Rogan, like, that thing was awesome. But the biggest thing that I took away from that was like your maturity at such a young age. What do you want people to like remember about you? Like when they hear the name Sean O'Malley, like what do you want them to remember about that name?
That's a good question. But I mean, if you guys or anyone that listens to the podcast, Tim and I's podcast, Timbo Sugar Show, I feel like we preach kind of about just being your true self, being yourself, and we preach about the eating healthy, eating quality food, sleeping, hydrating, stretching, doing all the right shit for your body and your mind. So probably something around those lines. And then in the fight world, like I want to have the longest highlight reel ever. I want it to be a 30-minute video, a movie of me just doing sweet shit in the octagon.
What would you tell, someone young that is trying to get into the game of MMA? What is your advice to them? I
would suggest definitely training jiu-jitsu in a gi. I think that's helped my jiu-jitsu improve a ton. That's what I trained today. I did gi jiu-jitsu, and it's so much fun. I enjoy it a lot. I think it benefits no-gi grappling as well, but finding a good gym and training MMA, but also train gi jiu-jitsu.
Awesome. Guys, here with Sean O'Malley. Sean, thank you so much, man, for taking the time out of your day to sit and talk with us, man. Greatly appreciate it. We're going to keep following your career, and obviously you and me have each other's number. We're going to keep up with one another, definitely.